Hi, I'm Marilyn Schlake, the Associate Director of the Nebraska Edge Program at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln.
And I'm Mark Hendricks, System Administrator at CIT at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln.
Welcome. Throughout the Security Squad series, we've talked about different types of protection for your computer system. Your computers, especially if connected to the internet, are subject to all sorts of security threats. With the right knowledge, hackers could connect to your computer and have complete access to all your files. They could send spam using your email account or retrieve sensitive customer information. Any of your computers that are continually on the internet are especially susceptible. So Mark, let's talk about how you protect your computer information from intrusion.
Sure. The first line of defense should be your firewall. I like to compare it to the defensive line of a football team. Those guards on the front line need to hold their ground and not let the offensive line gain yardage. In the same way, you need a strong defense against those who are trying to score with your privacy information. A firewall is a program or hardware device that guards what's coming through the internet into your computer. It checks for suspicious activity and blocks it out. For example, let's say a hacker was using a software robot that continually asked for your computer's IP address. The firewall would block this activity or any other unauthorized request until you gave it permission. That would be a quarterback sack.
That's a good thing.
There are two types of firewalls. There's software and hardware. As usual, I like layers, and you'll want both.
Okay, so can you tell me what is a hardware firewall and what is a software firewall?
A hardware firewall, like this cheap piece here, is a separate piece of network equipment that is installed between the internet source and your computer or network. Most hardware firewalls use a web-based interface to configure its access rules, or ACLs. A small business hardware firewall normally costs under $100, I should say inexpensive piece, and may be combined with your cable or DSL router. Software firewalls are programs installed on each computer that also controls access. Together, the two systems give you a double layer of protection.
Okay, so that's easy to understand. How do firewalls actually work then?
Good question. Firewalls work by controlling the access in and out of the company's network or computers. For example, if an IP address, which is a unique number assigned to a computer or a computer device, network device, is attacking the company's network, the firewall can be set to deny that IP address. Likewise, firewalls can recognize and deny specific domain names, specific URLs, and specific protocols such as web protocol, HTTP, or FTP for FTP servers. If a company allows employees to access the internet, the firewall should be open to port 80 for outgoing traffic. If the company wants to block any FTP servers, port 21 should be blocked for incoming traffic. As you can see, a firewall gives a company tremendous control over how people use the network. It controls how they access websites and whether files are allowed to leave the company over the network.
I can see where firewalls would be another good line of defense for the company. Now the next question is, how do we install these firewalls?
Well, you'll be reassured to know that most computer operating systems now come complete with their own software firewall.
That's a good thing.
Yes. The Windows firewall is enabled by default from the factory, but you will want to check to make sure. If you have a computer running Windows, go to the Start, go to the Control Panel, and then click on the Security Center icon. You will see a window that tells you whether the firewall is on or off. This is the built-in software firewall.
And that's just like what we have on the screen right now where it shows that it's actually on.
Yes. Actually, there are many software programs that connect to the internet that will require changes in firewall permission settings. For example, you will need to give permission for the music player software, Real Player, to download music through the firewall, etc., etc. Lots of tasks. Often the software will set this up for you automatically.
Okay.
iTunes is one software that will set up its own permissions automatically.
Well, that's good because I use iTunes.
Yes, and it runs on some common ports too. Make sure your firewall is enabled on every computer in your office. Even just one computer that does not have its firewall activated leaves your whole office susceptible. We're all in this together.
Yes, we are.
If your service provider says they have a firewall on their system that will work for you, you should still set up your own firewall on your computers or network for added security.
Okay. Well, we've heard that Mac computers are a little bit more safe, but is that true? Should Mac owners install a firewall?
No, the Mac OS comes with its own firewall in Leopard. It can be accessed by choosing System Preferences in the Apple menu. Click on the security icon and then click on the Firewall tab.
Well, good. It's glad to know that some computers, especially the newer ones, have built-in firewalls. What if someone has an older computer? What should they do?
They can install commercial firewall software, depending on the complexity and security needs of your business and data. You may decide to buy a more sophisticated firewall system. The thing is, you should only use one software firewall at a time.
Okay, well, that's good advice. From your description, it sounds like the firewalls can filter out information from coming in and going out. How much control does the user have in deciding what gets in and what doesn't get in?
Well, there are different levels of security in firewalls, and you kind of got to do what makes sense for your business. They range from allowing all incoming and outgoing internet traffic, which really isn't much of a firewall, to restricting most access. Most companies will have a level somewhere in between. By default, most computers are set to be at the Allow All Incoming Connections mode. You'll probably want to change that to set access for specific services, once again like your music player or real player, and put it in that specific service mode.
Okay.
You can then choose what type of connections you want to allow on your system. You will also want to make sure your network is behind the firewall and is configured to allow file sharing between your office computers so the firewall doesn't impede on the workflow between your employees.
Well, that's good advice if you're working in an office that's a little bit larger that has a network computer. I do know that it's possible to use remote access to use your home computer or to get into your office computer. For an example, that employee that works at home can gain access to their computer networks at the office. How does that work? Can you better tell us what goes on with that?
Modern remote desktops like Apple Remote Desktop or the Windows Remote Desktop actually require you to allow access to your firewall when they're set up correctly. They're great tools for remotely monitoring or configuring machines that maybe your office has several locations. But software like PC Anywhere or VPN lets you access that computer from that remote location, but it opens a small opportunity for hackers to get into your computer. Prior to setting up remote access, refer to your software documentation to make sure you have set up security protocols at a high level. And once again, those things are usually password protected, so have a good password.
Oh, that's good advice. Thanks, Mark. I already feel much more secure already. I just remember that a firewall is something like a football defensive line that protects me against those offensive hackers. Now, to add up your own defensive line, go to the security plan on this website, complete the firewall section, and set up your own firewalls. This is your security squad signing off. Remember, don't gamble with your business.
Keep your data safe and secure.